Shalom. Kol Halal Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Rakah HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerely risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. The would-be judges, the tabernacle of David, ordained to be the new government here on earth under the authority of who the world falsely and fraudulently calls JC. His name is Yahushai, which make up the majority of the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen nations that have the appearance of the heathen nations. This is not a black only thing, as many false prophets, Edomites, and other liars try to make it, to try to control the narrative. But an Israelite thing, the Israelites are scattered among all people. All right. And to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And basically, we're just going to talk about the shame and exposure of Esau. Esau is being completely and totally exposed in the last moments of these last days. And he cannot hide himself. So I'm going to open with Habakkuk 2:16. And it reads, "Thou art filled with shameful glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be upon thy glory." And that is exactly what is happening. The right hand of Yahweh, which is Yahushai, which is the Lord, right? The King on earth as it is in heaven, who's coming to set up his kingdom here on earth as it is in heaven. As I said in the opening, all right? And it will be the 144,000, 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes. All right. His co-heirs, which will rule in his name. They will go about to distribute the heavenly justice and order that is needed among the other nations, among the heathen. That will be the kingdom of heaven, and how glorious it's going to be. And in order for that to come in, the shame and the fall of Esau, Edom has to happen. And that's happening. They're being totally exposed, hypocritical, showing their actions are showing that they are not fit for rulership, that they fit the bill of Daniel 4:17. Let's read that real quick. They truly are the basis of men, and the basis of men are in control, which was punishment to the Israelites. All right, that the lowest piece of, on the totem pole of mankind is actually in charge in the last days. Starting with Alexander of Macedon. That's why the Edomites love him so much. Because through Alexander, the Edomite race, actually got dominion. They got dominion when they took the western part of Asia from the melanated Japhetic people, and then started calling and has the world believing that they're Japhet. All right. They became the new Greeks. They became the new Romans. They became the new, Europeans. And then they divided up another portion of Asia, and then they became Middle Easterners. Everything except Esau, Edom. All right. Trying to hide who they are. Okay. But this is Daniel 4:17 again. "This is the matter by the decree of the watchers, and to the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men." See, you think that what's going on with Putin, what's going on with Bibi, Netanyahu, what's going on with Trump, what has happened with Clinton and Bush and you know, and all the world leaders past and present. The Lord set everyone up so that his will can be done. Nothing was done of their own will. That's the fallacy and one of the frauds that Christianism teaches, that you have free will. No one has free will. The word tells you that the Lord orders your steps in your sleeps, in your dreams. He guides you. So when you make a decision to do something, whether it be righteous or evil, it's the Lord that guided it, because he creates the good, he creates the evil, he creates the light and the darkness. That's Isaiah 45:17, roughly paraphrased. I, Yahweh, the Lord, does all these things. So he guides your steps. So you can't choose to follow the Lord. John 15:16. He chooses you. All right. And he chose Esau, Edom, to be the wicked. Okay. Job 9:24, because, you know, the way all these man-made religions are taught, they teach that, you know, oh, it's just bad people and good people. Well, you know, to a certain extent, that's a partial truth. But the truth of the matter is there is a race of people who were created to be the wicked. 3 E's, nigga. All right. The wicked. And it is the Edomite. All right. You know, and just like my little girl here on the screen. I'm actually fond of this chick because she looks like she could be the sister of a former client of mine who was, you know, a Khazar denier, who and very intelligent and a doctor, very well known, which is why I won't utter her name, who knows that, and she knows that she's a convert and that we are the real people. And we will actually have these conversations just like I'm talking to you now. All right? Back and forth. And some of you in the past have heard me say that, and I'll get back to it. You know, I'm kind of know I'm all over the place for a moment here. But, you know, I looked up at her and thought about it. That's what drew me to her and started listening to her in the first place, because she reminds me of her so much. But she once said that, you know, as referring to our heritage and referring to the America and the rulership, she said, well, we stole it fair and square. You know, I got her frustrated and I kept catching her up with scripture and history. All right. And she said, well, we stole it fair and square. And I said, good. And I will say her first name, Dr. Lisa. I won't say her last name. But and I told her, I said, good, keep that energy, because it's going to be taken back the same way. And with that, she took a sip of her coffee and we continued training. All right. And I haven't seen her in years, but, you know, ever since that, you know, COVID mess. But I actually missed those back and forth debates, because she knew a little something, you know, but you can't get around scripture and you can't get around history. And that's where I would get her. And then being in the field that she was in, she knew of the corruption and the lies and the, you know. But it is what it is. But let's get back to it. I'm going to play a portion of this video now and let this little chick from iHip, I've had it, say her piece.
Of the Epstein files have not only revealed
Let's go back.
The last drops of the Epstein files have not only revealed some horrific sex crimes that we all knew, but as the camera comes into focus, it becomes more and more depraved. And also, it's revealing that Epstein and American oligarchs are involved in a network of espionage with Vladimir Putin in Israel to sabotage United States democracy and even the European Union's democracies. The Daily Mail, a conservative British paper, summarizes it like this. Pop this up, Kylie. Epstein's sex empire was KGB honey trap. Pedophile financier had multiple talks with Putin after conviction, with Russian girls flown in to harvest compromat on world famous figures. And this last dump, I think, not only is Trump's name in it thousands of times, but also Vladimir Putin's name is in it thousands of times. And this is just really, really goes back to 2016 when Hillary Clinton was talking about Donald Trump being Putin's puppet. And then it just makes me, and I'm sure it does you guys too, why has all of this been sitting at DOJ for all of this time? And they just stopped it with Jeffrey Epstein and his quote unquote suicide.
Yes, this is why I switched to injection-free weight loss.
I was eating healthy, working out every day, and jailed Ghislaine Maxwell. Why on earth have these people not been called in front of Congress? Why on earth are there not robust espionage, treason-style conversations being had at the highest levels of government? It is such a disappointment that both political parties, both Republicans and Democrats, were fine just leaving it the way it was. Put up this next slide, Kylie.
They were fine leaving it the way it was. Job 9:24, and it's good that it froze right there with their faces on the screen. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? These people, these Edomites, have set themselves up, all right? But it wasn't under their own authority. The Lord did it. He set them up to be the ruling class people, which is why the world is run amok, which is why so much evil, so much rape and murder in the millions. You know, it's funny how Esau loves to point the face at Jacob as the problem here in America and brown people around the world, but it's actually Edomites that go about the world rape, rob, and murder with imperialistic, racist ideologies to rule over all the people with violence, and then corrupt the resources, corrupt the water, corrupt the air. All right, use pseudoscience so that they can sell medicines that actually, destroy people. All right, to try to make people impotent where they can't have children. All right, all this penile dysfunction that's going on in America the last 15, 20 years. It wasn't an issue 25, 30 years ago at all. Okay, even with older men. Okay, all this wickedness is being done on purpose. And Edomites collectively, just to protect so-called white superiority, they have let their own country fall by the wayside, voting for evil, pale men that continue and protect and cover up wickedness that they know is happening and that they know is happening and that they know will happen. All to protect their social status, the lie. All right? All the changes in history. All the things that they've done. Let's give you an example and that they continue to do. Let's go to the book of Esther. In the Apocrypha. Why do you think they removed the Apocrypha? The Bible Destruction Group was a group of white males that operated, so-called self-proclaimed white people that operated for a 100-year period. And in that 100-year period, they successfully removed the Apocrypha from the Bible. Why? Because white people are identified, so-called white people, self-proclaimed white people are identified as Edom. Okay? In the Bible. Bloodline. They identified that it identifies that Edom are the actual Romans. As a matter of fact, my coffee cup right here says, "The water Yahweh, I'm not an Edom. I'm not Esau Edom." Okay, and even if you're a heathen, you should be thankful that you at least you're not Edom, because at least the rest of the heathen nations, all the other brown people, will eventually get to go back to their lands and have their lands back that they had in Genesis, the 10th chapter, and live in peace. All right. You know, and they won't be under the covenant of the Lord. They will still make mistakes and have to get judged by the Israelites under the authority of who the world falsely calls JC. But at least they get to live in land, get to live longer and healthier and not be sick and have the air polluted and their water polluted and their women rule over them and all this other crazy mess that's going on under the authority of Esau Edom. All right. Who just, you know, does the most heinous things to his own people and to children. Okay. But this is Esther, the 16th chapter. I'm going to start at verse 10. And it says, for Ammon, all right, a Macedonian, same as Alexander and his father, the son of Amatha, being indeed a stranger from the Persian blood, see, he wasn't Persian, and far distant from our goodness, he wasn't an Israelite, and as a stranger received us. The Macedonians were Agagites. The Bible reveals that. Okay? And Esau's got a narrative out there with AI trying to say, well, it doesn't say that he's an Agagite. Well, but it identifies Ammon as an Agagite, and then it turns around and identifies Alexander and his father as it identifies Ammon as a Macedonian, and it lets you know that the Macedonians were Agagites. And then it turns around and it identifies Alexander and Philip as Macedonians as well. Okay. But anyway, and then it tells you that Esau had to rule. You know, it's pretty obvious. But it says, for Ammon, a Macedonian son of Amamatha, it's hard to pronounce that word, Amadatha, there we go, being indeed a stranger from the Persian blood and far distant from our goodness, and as a stranger received us, has so far obtained favor that we showed toward every nation, as he was called our father and was continually honored of all the next person. Okay. The honor of all the next person unto the king. So he was number 2. And that wasn't good enough for him. But he had not bearing his great dignity, went about to deprive us of our kingdom and life. Esau Edom still does that today. All right. He had already won. The evidence of it is that he destroyed 200 towns here in dwelling places, neighborhoods and towns, black successful middle class towns, from starting as far back as the 1800s all the way up until the mid 1900s. All right. Former slaves that rose up and developed their own towns with schools and doctors and professionals and movie theaters and banks. And what did he do? He destroyed them and he replaced them with ghettos and welfare. All right. Took away all the opportunities and then put drugs and guns in the neighborhood. What do you think happened after that? Now he over polices them, and then he makes us the face of the problem. All right. As if we didn't raise up and outdo him in his own kingdom. And most of the inventions, the household inventions that they use on a daily basis in those time periods from the mid 1800s to all the way up until now were created by Jacob. So-called black people, Hispanic people, native people. Facts. All right. But it says, but he, not bearing his great dignity, went about to deprive us of our kingdom and life, having by manifold cunning deceits sought out us the destruction, as well as the Macedonians who saved our life and continually proceeded our good, also of the blameless Esther, the partaker of our kingdom, with their whole nation. For by these means he thought, finding us destitute of friends, to have translated the kingdom of the Persians to the Macedonians. Why was he trying to translate the kingdom? Because the Macedonians were Edomites. All right. But we find that, we'll say the Jays, the Judeans, whom this wicked wretch have delivered to utter destruction, are no evildoers, but live by the most just law. See, we were the most just people, but framed and held down and oppressed, and our development was arrested. They arrested our development. Put us under contracts of usury, and put us in debt that we just can't get out. Title 4D is a complete and total debt trap, which is actually illegal according to the laws of the land, but they enforce it anyway. Okay, and they that be children of the Most High, and the Most High and the most mighty living God, who have ordered the kingdom both unto us and to our progenitors in the most excellent manner. So you're not going to stop the progression of the kingdom of heaven. Esau, you've been found out. You've been discovered. Okay, let's play the next video. Okay, you notice Melania's, that passed around, undercover porn star. Her dress looks just like all the redacted evidence against her husband and her men, her people. Okay, but let's hear what this guy has to say. It said the name of this video, and the names of the videos were at the bottom. As a matter of fact, let me copyright disclaimer section 107 declared. Let's make that clear. I have to put that in the title now since I didn't read it out the gate. But here we go.
Am I just being conspiracy minded here? Am I being too paranoid? Do these
and look, conspiracy theorists 1,000, conspiracy deniers 0. And almost everything that's a so-called conspiracy turns out to be true, and the people that deny it turn out to be the liars and actual people who has actually committed conspiracies.
Symbols and designs always have hidden meanings as they arrive at the exact same time as other things arrive on the scene? Because I'm really starting to wonder here. And again, maybe it's just me, but it seems like the gaslighting coming out of the Trump administration is way off the charts. When asked, is the public going to learn about men that abuse these girls? The answer coming out of the Trump administration was, I don't understand what that means.
You said this is the end of the Epstein, of your review of the Epstein files. So just to clarify, is the public going to learn the identities of the men who abused the girls with the information that you're releasing? And if not, why not? And then I have a quick follow-up.
You just baked in an assumption into your question that I have never said and I don't know to be true. Is the public going to learn about men that abuse these girls? Like, what does that mean? I don't understand what that means.
I thought my hair was straight my whole life until I tried Prose's custom hair care. Prose's 4-step wavy hair routine.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
Right in the middle of the most important part, too. Let's play that again.
Into your question.
And it's funny, when I first watched it, all he did is repeat the question that they're completely guilty of, and then said, and then ask the same question back. Let's listen to it. It made it 0. And what's funny is that on that pause, I said, what the fuck do you mean? And then this guy turned around and said the same thing. That's what made me play the video. But Salakia, let's play that again.
You said this is the end of the Epstein, of your review of the Epstein files. So just to clarify, is the public going to learn the identities of the men who abused the girls with the information that you're releasing? And if not, why not? And then I have a quick follow-up.
You just baked in an assumption into your question that I have never said and I don't know to be true. Is the public going to learn about men that abuse these girls? Like, what does that mean? I don't understand what that means.
What the fuck you mean? What does that mean? It's right. Like when we tell you the Bible identifies Esau, Edom as the Edomites, and you go, well, what does that mean? Nigga, what do you mean? What does that mean? It means what? Answer the question. He evaded the question and just asked the same question back. What they call it? Circumlocution. This is what Esau does, man.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
Exactly.
What are we talking about here? What's the main focus of the Epstein files? Why are so many people so adamant about the release of these files?
Because they want to know who the people are that committed these heinous crimes. And the issue is, and the problem is that it's all your so-called white leaders for the most part. you know, and then they're cronies, you know, the familiars. If you ever watch Blade, all right, because Esau Edom is like vampires, and the familiars are all the other nations, including wicked ass Jake, that want to be turned, want to be like them, so do the bidding of their will. And so the people that call themselves Christians and call themselves patriots, and they call themselves Republicans and Democrats, they're the ones doing these heinous crimes and murders and Pizzagate and defiling little children and murdering people and having sex with people who are underage. They're doing this, and there's so much evidence of it, and you people are pretending like it didn't happen and like it doesn't exist, and you still want to run out to vote for them and protect them, all to protect white superiority. The world sees you people for what you really are, demons. Demons. Okay? This is 2 Maccabees 6:2. Not long after this, king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Israelites to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God. And this is a job of Christianism, of Jayism and Islam and all these other religions, because Israelites are all involved in all of those things, including different forms of witchcraft, which most of them, all religions are witchcraft. Anything that goes against the Lord said that rebellion against the Lord is as the sin of witchcraft, and witchcraft carries a sentence of death biblically. All right, it says and to pollute also the temple of Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter, Olympus, and Garzam, and Jupiter, the defender of the strangers, that they did desire that dwelt in this place. Because see, that's what happened. Esau Edom got control, and Jake became them Greeks, the divine nine. Even way back then, they followed after the Greek fashion, and they still do it to this day. Where you think the Boule is? Most of the Boule, the people that are part of the Boule, which are the Israelites that help the familiars that want to thrive within Esau's kingdom and be gatekeepers, because those are the Jakes, the celebrity Jakes, but it's all turning on them now. That's failed you. Because now Diddy, now they're coming after Jay-Z. They come after Jay-Z, guess what? They're going to get Beyonce too. Because why the fuck you go to that island? You all right? You went to that island. Okay? You went to that island and you all caught up in Esau's scandal now. Okay? So, matter of fact, let's stay in the book of Maccabees. Let's go back to First Maccabees, when Esau first got dominion. All right, and let's just jump up to First Maccabees 1 and 7. We'll start there. Actually, we'll read verse 1. And it happened that after Alexander, the son of the Macedonian, remember the Macedonians, all right, being educated that Agag, or not Agag, but Amon, son of Amadatha, was a Macedonian. And then it also tells you that Agag, that his father, Amon's father, was an Agagite. And the Agagites are what? Edomites. See, Saul didn't destroy all the Edomites. Okay? The Edomites were still around because they later on became the Greeks and the Romans. Okay? And Esau proved that. But it says, and it happened after Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, the king of the Persian Medes. Remember they said they weren't of the Persian blood? They replaced them. Okay? And reigned in his stead the first over Greece. So the Edomites became the new, they reigned over Greece, and then they took on that name and those customs and those ways. That's what Esau does. He took over, he would always take over things, and then he would translate himself to them. Just like he became Australians, he became Americans, he became Europeans and so forth. Anything to not be Edom. Jumping down to verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule everyone in his place, his four generals, those four Edomites who basically declared war on each other and caused chaos all throughout Asia. Okay? And the portions of Asia that you now call Europe and Middle East. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, and so that their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. Evil multiplied in the earth when the so-called white man advanced. Okay? They brought the wicked rule and the evil, extra evil into the world. Evils multiplied in the earth when they came into power. And what did they do? One of the main things that they did was they rewrote history and they translated everything to themselves. They covered up the faces of the judges thereof, just like we read in Job 9 and 24, and put their faces up. So they've claimed to be, the Israelites, the Spartans, the Greeks, they claim to be the Romans. They weren't. They became those things on paper and in pictures, but they were actually never any of those things. Okay? They are clearly and plainly the wicked. This is Ezekiel 36 and 5. They eventually got the Holy Land via the Balfour Declaration. And they're claiming to be the chosen when they're the complete opposite. They're the condemned. Ezekiel 36 and 5. Therefore thus saith the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, those Macedonians, those Agagites, sons of Amalek, sons of Esau. It says, in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession. The Idumeans have appointed the Holy Land into their possession to this day. And with the joy of all their hearts and despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. The actual Israelites have been casted out for a prey. And just like it says in Joel, the heathens are in that land and they've divided it. Okay, and now now they're trying to kick out Ishmael completely out and make it all Edomites. Okay? Ishmaelites are the people of Gaza and Palestine. All right, because the original Philistines, this is what Palestine means, were what you would call, that curse of Ham? Those Hamites were the actual Palestinians. Hamites, so-called Africans. All right, so Ishmael, he's been there, since the fall of Jerusalem, but he's not the original inhabitants of that land either. Neither he nor Esau. I got one last video that I'd like to play and actually save to my phone. And I'll delete it after I play it and then read one more scripture. But Jake finally, is starting to see what the Israelites have been telling them all along about the wickedness of the so-called white man. So here we go. And the water to April O'Neil for sending me this one.
Read the nastiest shit I've ever read. They said Donald Trump, the president, had parties at Mar-a-Lago called Calendar Girls. Jeffrey Epstein would bring the children in and Trump would auction them off. He measured the children's vulva and vaginas by entering a finger and rated the children on tightness. The guests were elder men and included Elon Musk, Donald Trump Jr., and Ivanka Trump. What the? This is only one thing that happened on this list. And there's, what is it? It was 3 million?
3 million files. They deleted that.
And they forgot that one. Auction off children. These are the people that are in office.
These niggas, they measured them with their what,
Oh
bro?
my God,
I'm trying to pause it.
No, this is actually like, no, this.
Every so-called white person should have their head hung in shame. They should be hanging their heads in shame right now.
Should be, this should be world shattering to everybody. Regardless of whether or not you were prepared for it or you're used to hearing this shit, this should light a fire in you that understands that your government is being ran. If you support this nigga, bro, when it came out, right, when Trump won, and niggas was like, I'm like, come on, guys, we can still be friends. It's just politics. No. If you support this bitch ass nigga after hearing that, I don't support no pedophiles. Gang. No, trigger warning on the word I'm about to say. It's like, yo, I'm reading this list and the word rape is in every single paragraph. These are rapists. These are pedophiles. These are the scum of the earth that y'all have let into this office multiple times and that are leading this country. If that is not enough for you to stand in opposition to every single goddamn thing that they do, nothing will ever be enough for you. Nothing will. Elon Musk. Trump low-key told us the lukewarm version of that when he was first starting. Grabbed him by the... Yeah. He already told y'all he was doing that shit.
These are the people that gave you Christianity.
We already seen the pictures of him with Epstein in the 90s. Talking about the British royal family in this list. Jesus, Andrew Cuomo's in this list. Holy shit. Oh, Clyde! Alright, guys, it's almost like the class of people we've been talking about do actually share the same class. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, John W. Nicholas, Linda Kitts. Yeah, it's just wild. And they just deleted. Get all these niggas. Guys, get all these niggas. No, get all these niggas. Lock them up. There's no conversation in defense. They just uploaded it and deleted it because they're like, oh fuck, this might tear it all down. They were already legally past the deadline. They already were committing a crime, not releasing it when they were. They were stalling for so long to hide that, and they still didn't hide it. Yeah, get them all gone. Get them all gone. I just read the nastiest shit.
So look, when Don Lemon said white men are the problem, they are. I think that women are turning on themselves. They're trying to separate themselves, but you can't. All right, you supported them. Yeah, matter of fact, you the one that gave birth to them and brought them into the world. So and made excuses for their hate and their racism over and over again. All right? Bear that shame. This is Jeremiah, or should I say you the vessel that brought them here. Okay, that they came through. Trying to make excuses for your husband's wickedness. Oh, he's deep down, he's good. You knowing he was a racist, murderous piece of shit. All right? But this is Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. So what he wants to do now that he's ousted, he just wants to, through his technocracy and through his sword, his number one blessing, he just wants to rule over you through his technocracy, which is going to lead to the micro C-hip, and control your speech so that you can't speak about him, you can't expose him. All right, especially when it comes to the cards are denying Amalekites. Okay. So with that, I want to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakahakudas, Kwam, Yasurala, Abba, Babal.